This is Ruckinge Church and it's hosting a flower festival. Now, if you love all things flower arranging with a little bit of crafting and charity shop shopping thrown in too, you're in the right place, and I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. All you need to do is to hit the button marked subscribe, and that means next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your tablet or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. St Mary Magdalene Church is located in the tiny village of Ruckinge, which is just south of Ashford, and I recently visited it for a flower festival with the theme The Joy of Music. We'll start off in the porch with this inspired installation by the local cub group. Can you guess what the theme is? There's some origami water lilies and a huge vase of beautifully scented oriental lilies. Yes, it's Handel's water music. And across on the other side of the porch, an exhibit created by Woodchurch Cottage Flowers. Isn't this absolutely stunning? A meadow box style arrangement where everything has been arranged in a vegetative style, as if growing naturally in a meadow. What can you spot? There's the coral charm peonies, the pale mauve of the anemones. Can I see dahlias, foxgloves, beautiful nodding grasses, the purple of the alliums? It was such a stunner. I love the way that the cultivated flowers had been put in with the weeds. Did you spot the buttercups and the cow parsley? Such great ideas, and something you could easily recreate at home, although probably on a smaller scale. The next arrangement that caught my eye was called The Joy of Music. Notice the little paper chains at the back made with sheet music. You'll notice as we move around the exhibits that quite a lot of the exhibits had incorporated this little detail, so easy to do, and of course you could always reuse those decorations at any time of the year. And in contrast to the meadow style arrangement in the front porch, I'm guessing this arrangement has probably been made with just a couple of bunches of supermarket flowers, the Asiatic lilies, the orange lilies, creating a focal point, and then the smaller yellow and red roses. And whereas we saw foraged cow parsley in the first arrangement, this one features gypsophila at the base. Watch how that little bit of white fleck carries your eye right away through the design. Can you guess the title of this next arrangement? The brass instruments give it away, the keyboard in the background. Someone's got their party shoes out, more sheet music made into garlands. This one's called Jazz. Such a cleverly put together exhibit. I particularly like the colour combinations here. Purple is the main colour, and then the contrast with the lime green of the fresh growth of spring. With the more dominant placement on the right hand side, you notice how the little bits of sheet music and the piece of floral fabric just lift things a little bit, giving a nice sense of rhythmic movement. What flowers can you spot? Let me know in the comments. I can see some sweet williams, some stocks, lilies, roses, bloom chrysanthemums, so much to look at. This next arrangement is titled Jerusalem and has been made by the local WI. I can see a trombone, is it, on the window there? Lots of colourful flowers. It's always quite difficult to photograph the flowers when they're set up on the church windowsills because they're backlit. And to compensate for that, they've used really vibrant colours. And then the scrolls of music singing out from the top edges of the arrangement. I can see here the use of the last of the season's tulips, and just above the mouth of the trombone, can you see the tiny orange flowers? I think they're geums. And then there's hostas at the base of the arrangement. Again, so much to look at. I'm just noticing those tiny, delicate purple irises right at the top. There were several arrangements around the pulpit with the title From Mozart to Gershwin. I particularly like the pink colours here. And what might be ordinary flowers with the stripy chrysanthemums have been accentuated by that fabulous head of Weigelia it is, and then not to be forgotten right at the base of the pulpit, an ode to Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, with a tiny little grouping of white flowers. They look like sweet williams, and a little vintage headscarf. And the title of this exhibit is called Glenn Miller. Now, one thing I'm always super impressed with at these little local flower festivals is the mechanics, what goes into making up the stands. And can you see those wire trumpets hanging on the wall? Aren't they absolutely exquisite? Do you think they were made specially for this festival, or do they come out year after year? And then in front of them, the huge globes of the purple allium and the white arum lily, and then white oriental lilies and carnations. Quite often I don't have a favourite arrangement because everything always looks so good. But for me, the standout arrangement was at the front of the church at the altar. And this exhibit, including the two pedestals either side, was called Lord of the Dance. I really loved the simplicity of the arrangement on the altar, and the fact that the candlelight was just twinkling away really gave off a serene atmosphere. Notice the ballet shoes hanging down from this pedestal. And I can't quite make out what the white flowers are, the ones with the reflex petals. If you know, do let me know in the comments. And then the matching pedestal, or the sister pedestal, on the other side of the altar has been accessorised by a tiny little pink tutu outfit. And look, the local Girl Guide unit has been busy too with their exhibit Vinyl Revival. They've made all those vinyl records creating a backdrop, and then off to the side a little accent area with an arrangement of fresh flowers. And on the subject of fresh flowers, just look at the vibrancy of this arrangement on top of the piano. This has been created by the Flower Club at the local academy school. Can you guess the title? All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. Just imagine how much effort went into making this exhibit. It's one of 4 parts. The colourful flowers on the piano. I think what we got here are the gates of heaven with the serene whites, the arrangements on the altar, and then all the little creatures off to the left-hand side. So here we've got the arum lilies, some lovely glaucous grey hosta leaves. They look like oxeye daisies too. And some fern foliage, really skillfully arranged. And from the quiet colours from the gates of heaven, we move around a little bit more to the colourful arrangement here. Can you guess the title? It's Carmen. And again, my eye is drawn to the details. Somebody's taken the time to stick individual sequins onto this Fatsia japonica leaf, giving it a little bit of sparkle. And think about the colours that have been used throughout this exhibit. Can you see the Spanish fan with its intense blues and reds and the purples? And then we lift up to look at the main arrangement itself with red roses and purple lisianthus, deep pink gerberas. And from Carmen the Opera we move to the music of Africa. This wasn't necessarily my favourite arrangement, but I love the inspiration fabric with the blue and yellow, and you can see how the arranger has been very clever to pick up on those colours. Now this next exhibit by the Brownies and Beavers literally took me to my knees as I crouched down to join in with the campfire sing-song. Gingangoody goody 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 watcha, gingangoo, gingangoo. You can see I spent far too much time of my life being a brownie and then a girl guide. So they gathered round the campfire here, portrayed by the lumps of wood, and then the flames created with the yellow roses, the orangey chrysanthemums, and the red of the spray carnations. We've talked about meadow flowers, cultivated flowers, and forage flowers, but have you spotted any silk or artificial flowers? I think this is such a clever way of making use of what you've got with the artificial cow parsley style flower mixed into an arrangement with fresh roses and fresh foraged cow parsley too. There's another arrangement I'll show you just around the corner in front of the organ. It's also got artificial flowers in it, but you'd have to look pretty closely to see where they are. And sitting next to the organ, what would you expect this exhibit to be called? It's Let All the World in Every Corner Sing. Doesn't that arrangement just fill your heart with joy? Quite patriotic colours, aren't they, with the red, white and blue? But have a closer look at the red. They are the silk gerberas I was talking about earlier. And then we move on to the English country garden. Are you singing the lyrics in your head? And if so, I hope you're keeping them clean. This was a double-fronted arrangement with the seedlings growing behind and then the full glory of the flowers out on the other side. There was a little plant stall and a tea room too, so going to a flower festival is always a really good afternoon out. I'm sure the title of this exhibit doesn't need any explaining. You've got it, haven't you? Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was red and yellow and green and black and purple and pink and violet and gold and cream and orange and pink and yellow and blue. I haven't shared all the exhibits with you today, so let's have one last tour round and see what I missed. Let me know in the comments what your favourites are, or whether you've been inspired to try in a new arrangement to enjoy at home, or perhaps in your local church. Is there a technique you like the look of, or a colour combination that caught your eye? Or perhaps you're thinking of ways you can incorporate flowers that you grow at home into an arrangement. It's always so lovely to come away and be inspired, especially when there's a nice country drive involved and a cup of tea and a slice of cake waiting for you. If you know of any flower festivals taking place near you, why don't you advertise them in my free Facebook group, Flower Start World? You'll find the link for joining the group in the description underneath this video. And better still, if you live in Kent like me, I've also got a dedicated Facebook group called Flower Festivals in Kent, so you're more than welcome to post details of your forthcoming flower festivals in the group so that others in the local area can come along and support you. I'll leave you with a little background music so you can enjoy the exhibits in peace and have another look at them. But don't forget to watch on to the end of the video, and I'll give you a little tour around the church graveyard too. It's some stunning views out across the open English countryside. One thing I have decided that I'm going to have to do is to write all these flower festival dates on a calendar to see whether I can work out whether there's a pattern to them. So the 18th and 19th of May, that would have been the third weekend of May, and I'm wondering whether this particular church has a flower festival on the third weekend of May every year. Perhaps if you live locally, you can let me know whether I've got that right or not. I do know, however, that some of the flower festivals, the dates are planned just from year to year, so there's no guarantee that they'll be held on the equivalent weekend in future years. So it's always best to go out and check before you make the journey. But from personal experience, I will say I find it really difficult finding out when flower festivals are on locally, particularly when you're not part of the local church or village community. So here's a shout out. Make sure you spread the message far and wide about your flower festivals. I know that they're a really great opportunity for your own community to get together, but I'm sure visitors like myself think of it as a wonderful day out, and also we're happy to contribute towards your funds, shop your bric-a-brac stalls and plant stalls, and always have a cup of tea and a slice of cake. Well, that's all from me for now, and I'll see you again, perhaps at the next flower festival.